Say hello to Pierre Delecto. Now, if you don't know the name, and maybe why would you, you probably know the man behind it, Mitt Romney. It's his alter ego on Twitter. A journalist from Slate made the discovery 8 years after the former Republican nominee for president opened the account. Romney says he used the profile to keep tabs on the political conversation in a way that he can't from his official account. Now, no, he doesn't have many followers, or he's not following many people. It's not an uncommon tactic amongst powerful people. James Comey, FBI director, fired by Donald Trump, was masquerading as Reinhold Niebuhr. He would tweet cryptic messages like the Serenity Prayer with pictures of birds. Last year, the basketball executive Brian Colangelo was forced to resign as president of the team after he was accused of using a series of accounts to criticise his own players. And back in the pre-Twitter era of the 70s and 80s, Donald Trump, he made calls to journalists posing as a man named John Barron, who would advocate for Donald Trump and answer questions about his business dealings. Now, CNN politics editor-at-large Chris Lizer is one of the only 668 people lucky enough to be followed by Pierre Delecto, also known as Mitt Romney. He joins me now. Why did Romney do it?
C'est moi, Richard. It's my favorite. Him confirming that Pierre Delecto is him in French to a reporter may be the best thing about the story. Why did he do it? I honestly don't know. You're right in your intro that powerful people do this sometimes. They sort of lurk. They don't really comment. They may comment on a thing here or there that they don't want to get as much attention. Kevin Durant, the NBA superstar, did this, has owned up to having what they call burner accounts on Twitter. I also think that it's telling, though, that Mitt Romney, the 2012 Republican presidential nominee, felt the need to establish a fake person, a fake Twitter handle, so that he could both defend Mitt Romney, the senator, and criticize the Republican Party, albeit pretty mildly.
It's weird.
That's exactly the right word for it. Again, there are only 10 tweets, but people should go, they were screen captured, they're all over the internet. The account's now private. But right. A lot of the tweets are responses to criticism from people like Brit Hume or a conservative blogger at the Washington Post, in which Mitt Romney, as Pierre Delecto, defends Mitt Romney in the third person. It's just, weird is the exact right word for it.
Chris, I need your assessment, please,
okay.
On exactly the week that we've just seen, not only on the impeachment, but also Duralgate, or, first of all it's there, then it's not. And then you have the Mulvaney comments. I mean, are things, the impression I get is things are getting worse.
Yeah, so I've always, Richard, up until a week and a half or so ago, said, how do you define getting worse? That this is kind of this chaos, this unpredictability, the abnormality, that all of this stuff is relatively consistent through Donald Trump's private life and political life. But I do think you've seen in the since impeachment, so that's about 3 weeks now, since impeachment inquiry became formal, I do think you have seen, I've compared it to sort of a nuclear meltdown, that Donald Trump is never in a totally stable state vis-a-vis how he handles things, but it has gotten less and less stable as the people around him who have a capacity to at least deflect some of his worst instincts have either been listened to less, been sidelined. So as a result, what you're seeing is raw Donald Trump.
All right. To those viewers, and I travel extensively around the world, who say, you lot at CNN cannot stop beating up on Donald Trump and cannot stop these criticisms about of the such that you. What would you say to them?
I would say this. First of all, I've heard a lot of that too, and I understand why people feel that way, but I just don't think it's borne out by the facts. I think the reality of this situation is Donald Trump is the most unorthodox, abnormal, I don't mean those in pejorative ways, those are just facts, abnormal president that we have ever had.
Right.
He takes the truth as not even really a suggestion, Richard. He just doesn't tell the truth all the time. I just think it's very difficult. When people say, why are you so critical of him? I'm critical of his lack of allegiance to established facts and truth. The erosion of an agreement on capital T truth, things that we can accept as fact, is dangerous. Doesn't matter if it's a Republican president or a Democratic president doing it, and he does it every day. And I just think that that is a bad thing for American society, but for our global culture more broadly. We need to be able to agree on established facts and truth.